Hi, my name is Darren from HCJ.tax, and we're the team that seeks to demystify that sometimes confusing world of international tax. And today we have the honor and privilege of speaking with George. George, can you please introduce yourself?
Thank you, Darren. My name is George Dimov. I'm a certified public accountant, and I have a team of 14 senior professionals. And what we do is the same type of thing: demystify taxes as much as possible, and with a focus in international and typically complex situations.
Fantastic.
Given the challenges facing the IRS right now, have you seen that impact on the quality of service? And if so, how are you working with your clients to try and navigate an increasingly difficult environment with the IRS?
And Darren, this is a great question. Part of it is, first of all, yes, we have seen the IRS has never had great service. I have just a few actionable tips for anybody that's watching this. If you are in an IRS situation, whether that is international related, which Darren, that's comprises many of your clients, and same with me, or even if it's any kind of regular tax, when you're in a situation with the IRS, I strongly encourage clients, especially if you don't want to spend tens of thousands of dollars on hiring a professional such as a CPA, tax attorney, IRS enrolled agent, or any of these type of professionals, or even somebody that's some kind of a consultant. I would say contact the IRS and attempt to get an appointment at your local taxpayer assistance center. Because I've seen that just going in and speaking with the IRS in person, if you can get an appointment that way, I found that that has worked miracles. And I've the experience myself. Me and my spouse even did this for ourselves. We had a tax return that the IRS just wasn't processing. And you have it's very common when you have a new child, new social security number, or you just recently immigrated into the United States and you have a new SSN or ITIN for a spouse, and the IRS doesn't know who they are, doesn't know who you are, and they'll misprocess your return. Okay. And it happens also through new children or new marriage. And when my spouse and I got married, I believe it was the first return that we filed years ago. It never got processed. And this is maybe a couple of years back. It was already years that the IRS was still in process of the return. And we went in physically, and it was a great meeting. We showed up maybe 10, 15 minutes early. They let us in a couple minutes early. There was no line. And this one happened to be in Maryland State. We were visiting family, and the person was so friendly, so helpful. We were in and out in less than 25, 30 minutes, and we got everything straightened out. Now, we didn't get the letter immediately that it was straightened out, but about 6 months later, we received the letter, and maybe 2 months later, we actually even received a refund that they owed us with interest. So the IRS has a rule that if you are 45 days or more late in receiving your refund and it's their fault, they'll pay you interest. So we, in a way, in a sense, we even may have gotten our time paid for a little bit, right? So the top level point is the IRS has been terrible to work with, okay, historically, because of aging technology, right? I believe they're still using COBOL systems from the 1950s, because the first commercial systems available on computerized systems. And so they're using antiquated technology. The IRS offices, they'll typically print everything out and have somebody doing manual data entry. And during the COVID times, there were even reports that the IRS found something like 2 truckloads, semi-trucks full of letters that weren't open from, 10 months back. Articles even came out that said the IRS was behind by 10 million pieces of mail at one point. So and this is even before the staff cuts. So now they have staff cuts, and we have seen the service become even slower. So, my word of advice for anybody working with the IRS is, either hire somebody competent to work on it, or attempt to get an appointment yourself. If you hire somebody, be very, very patient, because although a service provider like, Darren replies to his LinkedIn, if you need to contact Darren, he replies to his website. He replies to his emails, but the IRS does not. Okay, so when you're working with a practitioner, let's say whether you hire Darren or my firm, Dimov Tax, or any tax attorney or CPA or IRS enrolled agent, just be very realistic. They're working with the IRS. They don't have a secret phone line into the IRS. We do have a taxpayer practitioner line, but if something's in process, it's in process. Now, there are a couple of caveats here. We've seen situations for example, situations where there's a U.S. person that's passed away, and beneficiaries are from another country. Okay, they have to file a special type of estate return, which shows assets that are effectively connected with in the United States versus other ones. And I think this is a topic on one of your other shows. And when you have one of these, there is a department at the IRS that you may be able to get through the help push this through. But typically, ultimately what happens is no matter how many times you call your practitioner, they have the same waiting period that you do. So that's kind of my take on where we're at with the IRS process and some word of advice for people that are in the IRS process.
Thank you. Thanks for that.
George, if someone wants to get in touch with you, what's the best way to do that?
My website is a great way. You can go on our website, which is Dimov Tax. It's my last name. That's EIMOV tax.com. Or you can send an email directly at info@dimovtax.com. Those are two great ways to get in touch with us. We also have a phone number. You can also call us. And the best phone number is 833-829-1120. That's +1 833-829-1120.
Fantastic. Thank you.